Well, it is 6:30, so good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first meeting of the Overview and Scrutiny Performance Panel for this municipal year. My name, if you don't know me, is Councillor Walker, and I am the chair of this committee. Please note this meeting is being streamed on YouTube. Members in the chamber, when you want to speak, please raise your hand to indicate to me that you wish to speak. When I invite you to speak, please turn your microphones on. And then please turn your microphones off when you have finished speaking. If the technology fails, then I will adjourn the meeting for a few minutes to try and resolve the issue, or if it's not available, a new date will be organised. Please can everybody ensure their phones are turned off. We are not expecting a fire drill, so if the alarm goes, please move outside where you came in. So, apologies.
We have apologies from Councillor Royleys.
Is Councillor Nevitt here on? Is he on?
He's
home?
not on Teams, no.
We haven't heard from Councillor Nevitt.
I've not, no.
Right, okay. We'll move on into the minutes of the meeting held on the 10th of March. For those who are on the committee, is that a true record?
Can I propose those minutes, please, Chair?
Okay, thank you. So before we start the actual agenda, can I welcome two new members to the committee? Hope you enjoy yourself on the performance panel. Hope you get involved and ask plenty of questions. And can I welcome the Councillor Adrian Lowe, Executive Member, and Asim Khan, who's the Director for this performance review, and Howard over there, and the other gentleman I don't know. Welcome. The author of the report. Very good, welcome. So, we can move on to declarations of any interest. Members are reminded of their responsibility to declare any pecuniary interest in respect of matters contained in this agenda. No, right, excellent. Right, can we move on then to the main item on the agenda, which is the performance-focused customer and digital directorship. So, Councillor Lowe, can you introduce the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members, for the yearly invite to this panel to discuss the performance for customer and digital. As you can see from the report, it provides an overall summary and budget position on the overview of key performance measures for 21 to 22 and an update on the corporate strategy projects with relevance to the Directorate. Customer and digital actually covers both customer services, which is shared with South Ribble, a shared service with ICT, neighbourhoods, street scene, and it also covers waste services. If I can go on to the overview, that you'll see from paragraph 8 of the report that 3/4 of the corporate and service level performance measures were performing on or above target at the end of Q4. The majority of the projects within the business plan are rated green or completed. Out of 8 projects, 5 are rated as completed and 3 are rated amber, but it goes into details later on in the report for the reasons why. And these projects rated amber are as a result of the challenges of the ICT and customer service review that members are well aware of, the restructuring that's taken place over the last year or so. If we go on to, from paragraph 9 onwards of the report, that explains phase 2 of the extension of shared service working and the impact on the agreement of shared management structures for ICT and customer service. And you'll find further on in the report some of the performance figures as a result of those restructuring being taken time to bed down, and the number of vacancies that are in each of the elements within the directorate. If we can move on to the financial position and paragraph 11 of the report, and we're nearly there with regard to the budget of a 1.63% variance, and members will see that our directorate is the biggest element of council funding and finance. So to get that level of variance, I think I need to place on record my appreciation for all the staff's work right across the spectrum, from customer service, ICT, street scene, waste services, etc. From paragraph 14 onwards, it goes on to the performance with regard to the key corporate strategy measures, including the number of service requests online, the level of satisfaction or stroke dissatisfaction received from the council. Paragraph 20 of the report highlights some of the measures that were our performance is measured against, i.e. the amount of council tax being collected, the amount of business rates collected, how long it takes us to process new housing benefit claims, etc. That's from a customer service point of view. And then the amount of recycling rates that our waste services section deal with. When we come on from paragraph 22 of the report, Chair, again, it indicates from a street scene perspective how we are performing against the targets that we have set. And you'll notice, just for a couple of examples, street cleansing, we upped the target from last year because of the performance that the teams were doing. And it's the same with regards to, I think, grounds maintenance. So the figures are there at the table at paragraph 22. If we move on to on page 12 of the report and the corporate strategy projects, one of the big issues that the council adopted as part of its corporate strategy was the digital strategy, and it highlights some of the work that's taken place in year one of the shared digital strategy. We also had a corporate strategy objective of extending borough-wide improvements to street services, and also we've identified work that's needed to deliver even better customer experience and to deliver street level improvements to ensure the objective cleaner, greener streets and neighbourhoods across the borough. In conclusion, Chair, we acknowledge there are issues with particularly customer service and the level, particularly over contacts to our contact centre, but there are reasons that are explained in the report, and happy to take any questions over the performance that the directorate covers. So with that, Chair, I'll open it up through you for any questions that you may have.
I mean, it reads very well, really, but of course, as you say, there are one or two problems in your directorate, which hopefully we can sort out this evening anyway. Councillors, any questions you want to start raising? Yes, Michelle.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to go on record really to give my thanks to Asim and his team. As a new councillor, the support I've had with the technology rollout and any assistance I've had has been phenomenal. So I'd just like to go on record to thank Asim and his team, because without them I'd really be lost. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Well, I've got one or two, which I'll start with. If we go back to the directorate overview, you mentioned customer service, One thing I found is over the last few weeks, at our group meetings, there's always been one or two councillors complained about the time it takes to get through on 51, 51, 51. And I'd just like to give an explanation of why we're having this problem at the moment. I know you say there's a lack of staff, but we didn't seem to have these problems before COVID. Is it that you've lost staff during the COVID pandemic and now into retrain people, or how's that worked out really?
If I can answer that, and Assie may want to add something. In terms of the restructuring for that customer service has gone through in conjunction with our colleagues at South Ribble, has led to a number of vacant posts that have yet to be filled, and that has an effect on performance in terms of whether it's abandoned rates to answer the telephone, etc. But we obviously on a monthly basis, I get reports from as the executive member. Asim and the team deal with things on a day-to-day basis. It isn't a case of we've lost staff primarily as a result of COVID, but when you are undergoing a restructuring of any service, there are in effect teething problems, and also the main factor, I would say, not necessarily staffing for COVID, but measures that central government have put in place. I'll give you a quick example. The £150 council tax support that the government gave, that's caused an increased workload because residents were encouraged to complete their applications online to smooth the process. But say, for instance, the next day, a phone call's made to the contact centre, taking up time and resources. Have you received my online application? Can you tell me how long it's going to be to process it, etc.? Which is natural. That isn't a criticism of residents, but it's just a small example of time and sheer volumes of calls that are being taken, which could be unnecessary because you want a mixture of online request and frontline services. We've got a plan of action for the next 12 months. We do get regular updates. We are on top of the performance figures, and the team leader, as the head of customer service with South Ribble, is on top of the game. Asim takes an overall view as the director. So there are challenges in terms of, but there's a number of appointments that were still yet to be made. I think at the last count, from a customer service point of view, we have just recently made a number of vacancies at apprenticeship level. We've appointed a new customer services manager. We've made appointments to the vacancies for customer services officers at various levels. And so there's a couple of outstanding vacancies. So we are on with it, Chair. But that's just a quick overview as the problems that we're having and the performance which members quite rightly raise, and also residents will raise, but there are explanations. Do you want to add anything, Asim?
Yeah. Going back to that, I pretty appreciate what you're saying. What I was trying to find out is what was the level of staff before COVID and what is the level of staff now? Have you lost people, or are you having to put more people in because of the demand?
Thank you. So certainly in relation to the number of posts as a result of entering shared services, the number of established posts has increased compared to what we had previously. In fact, we have created an additional 12 apprenticeships as a consequence of the restructuring. As Councillor Law has pointed out, it's a combination of two factors. One is recruiting to those posts, and that's at a time when, coming out of the pandemic, the employment sector is very, very buoyant. We are competing with other companies and organisations to recruit. We're not unique in that circumstance, but it has proved challenging. But also, as Councillor has pointed out, it's at a time when we have had significant initiatives imposed upon us from central government to help residents, not least the £150 council tax rebate payment, but also a variety of different grants and schemes that the government has introduced, which local authorities have ended up administrating on behalf of central government. They have, in some cases, imposed quite detailed processes in relation to ensuring that people who apply qualify for those grants. We have to take financial checks. Some of those are quite laboursome or involved, and that needs to be communicated to residents. So at a time when, particularly around year end, we have seasonal demand for services, we've also have had to adjust and administer additional schemes on behalf of the government, and a combination of a lack of resources at that critical time and the additional workload that's been introduced has resulted in, disappointingly, some of the performance measures that we've experienced. But as Councillor Law has pointed out, there is a plan to address that, not least the progress that we've made in terms of recruitment, but also reviewing the processes, and hopefully we'll be in a position over the next couple of months where we've got through the bulk of the applications for the rebate and can see improvements in performance.
You mentioned the £150. Have all residents now received their £150? I know people on direct debits got it almost straight away, really, but the people who weren't on direct, have they all got the £150 now?
If I can answer that, Chair, in terms of 90% of those eligible have received it, and steps are being taken to contact the remaining 10% that have not actually received it, and that could be as a combination of the fact that Asim has alluded to, in terms of that if you're not paying by direct debit, there's got to be processes to follow. But the latest information that I had given to me was that 90% of people had received that payment, Chair.
Thank you. Just going on to shared services, is it the view that in time, if somebody rings up, shall we say 51, and all the call centre people in Chorley are busy, that somebody at South Rural will pick it up and deal with it? Is that the theory behind it?
As part of shared services, this service has entered into a single operating model. And what that means is, essentially, there were two different services across two organisations that have merged into a single entity. And so the idea behind that is that at a time when we see an increase in demand, obviously we can direct those resources to the relevant area to address any contact that we get from customers. So wherever the demand increases, obviously we have greater flexibility and more resilience in the system because we have more people working to address the levels of contact that we get. And some of those are seasonal, but they happen at different times of the year. So I'll give you an example. Actually, the garden waste subscription period happens around March in preparation for April, and in our neighbouring partnering council at South Ribble, that happens earlier in the year, around January to March time. So it enables us to be able to answer some of those, respond to some of that demand with more people because they're happening at different times of the year. So it actually builds more resilience into the system. But the principles behind it is that we are creating a single team for customer ICT services and that'll be managed under a single service lead.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I mean, I know I'm complaining about various things. I find if I go on Teams and ring, if I want to speak to an officer, I go on Teams and I find it works very, very well. So I don't know why some of our councillors do complain when they ring 51, 51, 51. I would have thought they would get on Teams and get hold of the officer they want to speak to. But I can't get through to some of my group to say that. But I do find the Teams situation where you can ring and you're through and you can speak to the person straight away. I find that very good. What am I going to go on to next? I want to go, where am I? The financial situation. Now, every year, people with grey bins pay £32. It's gone up this year to £32, which I don't think anybody's really objecting to. Well, so how much money do you raise every year from money for the brown bins?
If I could take you through that, Chair, because fortunately the timing of this invite just happened to be coinciding with my team meeting. So from a garden waste subscription point of view, just bear with me, the estimated income for 22-23, the £32.50 subscription amount is forecast to bring in £815,000, and as of now, the latest figures I've got supplied to me is that just short of 812,000 has come in. Now we've got another, in effect, 8 and 9 months of the year, so we're on track to meet the forecasted income from garden waste subscription. But like you said, Chair, council took the decision to increase the charge from 30 to £32.50, but we are well on track to, and we're also taking steps to encourage more people to pay the subscription by direct debit, so that helps the financial cash flow for the council anyway.
So is that £800,000 in the budget?
Yes.
Is that in the budget that you are going to spend?
Sorry, through you, Chair. Yes, the budget is forecast. The income from garden waste subscriptions is £815,000. Last year, the forecasted income was 720,000, and the year before that it was 710,000. So even with the £2.50 increase in the subscription rate, we're forecast to get an income of 815,000.
So basically that nearly pays for the annual waste collection budget, because it's about £1 million, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's those members who have been around quite an extensive period, other than councillors Marino and Singh, will remember the reasons why we introduced garden waste subscription charges, because a decision was taken by the county council to have £1 million shortfall in our budget. So without the subscription rate being introduced, there would have been massive cuts needed to be taken to the whole waste management service. So I'm very pleased from a performance point of view is that as we stand this period of time, we're about £3,000 short of our forecast income for the year, and it's offsetting the running costs of the service that has been that we provide for the, I think it's 40,000 properties or 50,000 properties that we cover, or the waste services through our contractor FCC cover. So, with that, Chair.
Thank you. Now, costs are going up a great deal over the last few, as the costs or the budget for next year, is that going to be a lot higher for waste collection?
Through you, Asim will probably indicate that as part of the budgetary cycle that takes place from November onwards, initial forecast will be prepared for members' consideration when we come to set the budget for next year. And we'll just have a, take into account operational cost of like increases in fuel costs as one example, and so that might have an effect on estimated income.
Okay, thank you. Right, performance indicators, let me have a look at those. Let me get around to them. Here we are. It's always though you can't see these things. Come on. Talking to myself here. Average data process change in circumstances, 2.55, and it should be 2.95. I mean, that's half a day, isn't it? It's less than half a day, really. So I would say, I know that it is worse than quarter four in 2021, but I assume it's a negligible amount. I'll say that's okay. We've got. I was trouble getting these things to be able to see the things. Come on, right, we're here. I'm going on a bit. I was concerned about it might have been in the next part of the agenda when I was concerned about, which I'll ask later. There was one thing I did see was the ICT section, which is on the corporate strategy projects, paragraph 26, where it says various things are happening over the next few months. Contact centre refresh. Coming back to the contact centre, is Union Street open for people to pop in and ask questions or pay any money? Is that still going on?
Yes, Chair. The contact centre has been open for a number of months. There was only a short period of time over the pandemic when it was closed to customers as per government advice. But other than that, it's remained open, and we offer an appointment service, and people can pop in as and when. So the service has remained functional throughout the period.
And do you get many people going into Union Street these days?
Yes, we do. Since the pandemic, that has gradually increased as we return to some normality. But I have to say that there are customers who, as a result of COVID, have continued making pre-booking appointments because they find that more convenient to see us that way. It provides certainty for them, particularly as they want they may want to be available due to the time they can come and see us. So the certainty provides some reassurance that staff are available to see them when they can pop in. But equally, if customers want to pop in as and when, we remain open in during business hours, Monday to Friday.
I mean, presumably, we're talking about closing Union Street and reorganising the town hall and also the pub next door. Where will the contact centre be? Will it be in the town hall itself?
If I could answer that, Chair, if we were successful in terms of the various bids that we submitted, that the plan would be that it would be a mixture of this location and also the White Hart across the road, which will be refigured to have a front-facing service. And just on your point in terms of the face-to-face service appointments, the figures that I have was that in June of this year, we had 358 appointments through our doors at Union Street. And obviously the figures have steadily increased when you compare, say, for instance, to the middle of the pandemic of July, for instance, 2021, where we only had 35 people in that month having face-to-face appointments. So over time, that, as Asim has pointed out, there is a cultural change from certain residents who are working their way through the system. Some people prefer face-to-face contact, some people prefer the online kind of processes, but there is a major piece of work that Council has agreed in terms of our modernisation of our work practices. So, you know, it does give you an indication of the pressure that we're under, but we have that in hand, Chair.
Yeah, I mean, they always say, didn't they, a lot of planning queries, people used to go in face to face because they took plans in and wanted an officer to come down and deal with that. I assume that's still going on, isn't it?
It is, and it's the same for licensing applications as well. There is still the facility, and if there was ever a time where we move out of Union Street, there will be the same level or indeed increased facilities to cater with demand.
Okay, thank you. Meeting room technology, I know it's on here. There was talk of getting committee room 1 onto YouTube and what have you. Is that still going ahead, or is it available?
There are some proposals to extend the meeting room facilities beyond the council chamber, and that's something that we're looking into in terms of the business case for that. I can report back and provide an update to Chair in relation to that particular project.
Very good, very good. Well, I say this small committee was always better in a smaller room rather than being in this big council chamber, really. That's all I was looking for, the future, probably in the new year or something, when it could be back into committee room 1 or even committee room 2. I'm not all fair with all these SharePoint rollout and contact centre refresh and whatever. Well, I appreciate what you're saying about that anyway. I think basically that is it from me on the situation. I know you've got problems. It reads very good, but I know there are problems, and you are addressing them. I can't complain about that, but I hope that, shall we say, we won't be meeting until next year anyway. So by then, there'll be interim reports coming, not to the October and Scrutiny, but presumably the Cabinet anyway, to make sure that things are going well. What I want to do is go back to my next group meeting and say things are getting better as regards the contact centre and with the shared services and what have you. More personnel are being appointed, and you'll have a better result when they telephone 51, 51, 51. But I do try and tell them, as I said before, to go on Teams to get hold of the officers.
Can I
Okay. Has anybody else got any questions? All okay.
So, you, Chair, can I just make some concluding remarks? I'm pleasantly surprised I've gone through the performance panel without actually any reference to grass cutting and street scene services. I'm pleased to announce, just for the record, for instance, that 98% of grass cutting was completed on time for both May and June. For the percentage of litter bins emptied on time, it's 98 and 99% that's done. So right across the spectrum, covered by the Directorate, can I just place on record the appreciation from my point of view as the executive member, whether it's customer service, whether it's street scene, whether it's IT, they have worked and provided an exemplary service throughout the difficult 12 months that we've just undergone. And it is, you know, I'd like to pay tribute to them. On your other final point, John, in terms of regular reports come on a quarterly basis to Cabinet. So when your group mentions they'll see improvements, we have got a plan of action in place for customer service, and we hope that when those figures are reported to not only ONS, because I think you get it on a quarterly basis anyway, but certainly to Cabinet, etc., we will see, and I've tasked Asim and the team to come up with that plan of action to deal with those concerns. So we're on with it, Chair. Quite satisfaction with the performance.
Yes, I mean, basically, as regards grass cutting, things look okay. I just worry about how the grass will look by September, October time. Grass that hasn't been cut is now looking fairly high, and I just worry that by September it'll look a lot worse than it is now. I don't have complaints from the public or my fellow councillors on our group about grass cutting, so it's only me who complains about it. I know Councillor Clifford gets very cross with me when I start complaining about the grass cutting, but so I'm in the minority, so I've got to just keep quiet about it, really. Just on referring back to grass cutting, the big problem I have is regards the weeds on pavements and grass verges, really. And I know you're looking at it, and there are rules and regulations about it, but I do hope by next year that we can get the weeds and whatever else is that's growing on the pavements cleared, killed off and looking a bit better, really.
I can give you, before Councillor Ainsworth comes in, I can give you the reassurance that as part of the street scene strategy, we are undertaking a review of our weed control policy that will be finalised early next year, and members have been notified that the current pause for this week in grass cutting operations has led us to tackle some areas that we've had reports of. So you can be rest assured, John, that it's in hand, and the review is taking place, will be finalised and implemented in early 2023.
Thank you. Yes,
Thanks, Chair. Just to compliment something really, I particularly like the mini meadows and how they look, especially around the town centre where I represent and the wider area. And especially now with all the summertime and all the flowers are coming up, it looks a really nice patch of land. So, you've done a really good job. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask Asim to pass it on to the staff for all the effort that has been put in place, and also the volunteers through the In Bloom group, because I know one particular member of our staff who puts a lot of, in effect, unpaid time in to supporting In Bloom that helps to make our, not only the town centre look attractive, but the positive comments that we've had on social media on all the approaches in and around town. It's very much appreciated, and I'll make sure that the operatives get the credit and compliments that are being passed on.
yes, but yeah, I must admit it, when I speak to Sean or Chris, I do get full attention, and if there's a problem, they do with it. So I've really no concern about the street scene at all. So there we are. So as far as I'm concerned, thank you very much indeed for this evening. Thank you for all your comments, and keep up the good work. But we'll keep monitoring to make sure things that you're saying here is put into practice by early end of this year. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. You are departing. If you want to stop, you can do. But
I'm departing, but Mr. Khan is.
all right, very good, very good. Thank you, Adrian. So we'll move on to the final item, which is item 4, which is the Quota 4 Performance Monitoring Report for 21-22. And I know, Howard, you're going to take us through this report. and we've mentioned quite a few of the projects through Adrian and Asim anyway, so I won't be asking questions about it again. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, this report, the Quarter 4 Performance Report, was presented to Executive Cabinet in June by the Executive Member for Resources. So we were sort of looking back a little bit in time, but at that point we had good performance broadly. 71% of the corporate strategy projects rated as green, and these are the corporate strategy projects that came forward from the refresh of the strategy within November. So it's the first time that we actually report on that new set of projects going forward. In terms of the indicators, again, we had 71% of the corporate strategy measures. They were reported as on target or within, and 67% of the key service delivery measures, which are outside that corporate strategy, but give us a flavour of some of the performance wider within the organisation. So we did sort of have a number of particular indicators off target, and we will be coming forward with the Quarter 1 report in September to Cabinet, which will detail you know, where those current targets are set, and any progress that's been made. There's probably some questions on those. I may be able to answer some of those tonight. We are just in the process of collating performance information for the Quarter 1. So if I have some, I will be able to share that with you, and if not, we'll be able to take that back and come back to the panel with any answers. So, but yes, we're currently pulling the Quarter 1 report together, and that will come to Executive Cabinet and again be presented by the member responsible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone got any questions? I've got one or two. Page 21. Crikey. I've lost my page now. Where are we? It's the Tatton project. You got it down here as amber. How's that getting on? Is it near completion? Are there problems?
So I think there's going to be a further update on this project coming forward in the Quarter 1. We're currently working through that. We're expecting an exception report from the project, basically looking at what the timescales are coming forward. So that should be reported at the next quarter. As you can, when things are reported as amber, that normally means we're going to be looking at those timescales being extended in order to bring things back on track. So our team at the moment is just working that through with the project team, but I can certainly try and get a interim sort of update for you if that would be the panel's sort of response.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of the Tatton project is they are building some affordable houses, aren't they?
Yes.
Which, if you look at the next page, you're down on numbers for affordable houses. So presumably that will help the figures there in the next quarter. And also in the long term, of course, Bengal Street, if that is revitalised and there's supposed to be affordable houses built in, that will help the figures for affordable houses, presumably, over the next couple of years, I would have thought.
Yes, and it does link through to that stock of affordable housing, and obviously what's within the current council's limit. So there is a limit set. I think it's called the Housing Revenue Account or something like that, HRA. The council is coming close to those. So in the next quarter report, we should have an update because there is a particular project around affordable housing, and that covers part of Tatton, but also around the registered social providers framework in terms of what is being provided there. So yes, we'll be able to provide more update around the affordable housing progress as well.
Good, good. Well, I say it is needed. It is a target that we should be, making big efforts to get up to the 100 a year anyway. The other one I was concerned about was employment, because that's down, isn't it? Not that employment isn't down. Well, I'm saying the figure's down because I don't know what the job situation surely is, but over the country there's lots and lots of jobs vacancies, and still lots of people unemployed. How are you trying to manage the situation to get people back into work?
So there are a number of different things with the employment rate, and that can relate to people deciding not to work. So again, some of the changes out of COVID, you know, one of the things that Chorley has is actually some people electing to stay home, and that could be for family reasons. So that takes them out of some of the employment market. There is work coming forward with the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. So that's the fund coming from government in terms of how we actually address things with business support, skills and employment. So some of those projects coming forward should help to address employment and sort of skills related issues. So again, we should be able to provide some further information as that comes forward. And it's something that all councils are currently looking at in terms of that UK Shared Prosperity Fund.
Have you got any figures about the amount of unemployment in Chorley, all the job vacancies?
The current figures haven't been released yet, so they should be released, I understand, with sort of probably in the next couple of weeks within August. So at the moment we don't have any further data on terms of whether we've moved up or whether we've moved down. But that will come forward in the Q1 report. We're just waiting for those to be published because they're published through the notice.
So those will be available for Cabinet in September?
They will, yes.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a situation where it's a very worrying situation, the job vacancies, and people are applying for jobs, really. So there's got to be a balance somewhere to get this back to normal, getting people back into work, isn't it, really? I appreciate with the pandemic, people that were working from home and really then didn't want to go into offices and factories and whatever, but it's a situation where needs must, really, and I hope it can be sorted out, really. Okay, that was the other one I'm looking at. Growth in the business rate, annual. I don't understand this, really. Is this the amount of businesses, the amount of money we're getting in from businesses? That's the situation, is it?
Yes, so it's basically an increase on the amount of business rates that it's taken in, and this comes to the production or construction of other business premises and construction sites. So I think within the action plan, that's kind of at the point we're looking at what's coming forward in terms of potential construction and commercial business floor space. So you know, with the levelling up, with some of the proposed, you know, with Botany Bay, that would actually start to increase business rate base. So that's kind of where that indicator at the moment sits. So it's something we're monitoring on an annual basis and reporting through. So it's just done on an annual because obviously it wouldn't make much through each quarter due to construction taking some time.
I mean, Strawberry Fields is now, I don't know if it's fully booked up, but it is a lot better than it was a year ago, isn't it, with the businesses going in there. Yeah. Strawberry Meadows is coming on stream in the very near future, so hopefully that'll help her on. The worry, as far as I can see, is the town centre, where there seem to be lots of shops vacancies, really. I don't know how that's getting on, really, but no doubt that will come to light in the near future. Asim, is there any thoughts about the town centre? Are people looking to move into the town centre?
Well, I don't have any specific information in relation to the occupancy rate of the town centre, but that's something that we can provide. Obviously, the difference between business rates payable and business rate based growth, which Howard has alluded to. So this is based on the rateable value. So every time a new commercial property comes on board, the valuation office agency accumulates a rateable value for a property. And what this is focusing on is the actual increase in that base rate level of rateable value compared to the previous year. Clearly, there's a difference between the base of those rateable values coming on board and the occupation rate, which is the second part of that. So in order to have successful businesses, you need to have the premises to occupy in the first place. So that particular indicator is concentrating on the rateable value in relation to the base. But in relation to the town centre, we can provide some figures in terms of occupancy rates.
Thank you.
I can
Yeah,
come
I
back
mean,
on.
again, on page 30, there's an item about town centre vacancy rates. Action's been taken, and, you know, hopefully, when you get your next quarterly report, which will be in September, this might be slightly better than it is now, really. You know, it is, again, when you walk around the town centre, there do seem to be a lot of shops boarded up and everything else, really. Not as bad as, where was it? Trafford Centre. I had to take my wife there this week, and that 2/3 of the shops seem to be boarded up in the Trafford Centre. So it isn't only Chorley where there's a problem, it's all over the country, really. So, and Preston's even worse than the Trafford Centre. Yes, sir.
Thanks. Am I okay to just ask a question if that's okay?
Yeah.
So agenda page 19, number of people who have successfully completed basic digital skills training. Just a paragraph where it says, this project will seek to strengthen and promote the pathways into training with local partners. Do you know which local partners that we'll be working with to deliver this training?
I can get a fuller list. I do know that Lancashire Adult Learning is one of those partners, and we'll be moving forward with them, I think in September time, to launch a set of new courses. So it has been a continuing issue following COVID in terms of accessibility to courses. That has now been sort of re-picked up, and those are coming back online. So we are expecting to see improvement coming forward from the September period in terms of that launching with Lancashire Adult Learning. But if there are any other providers, I will seek to come back to you. I know that there are around 3 different streams into which individuals can go to undertake the digital training. So I'll come back to you.
Okay, yeah.
Can I just come back on that? I do think it is a big thing because obviously if enough people do undertake the training, it will help with getting people into employment, definitely. So I'm very keen just to see this delivered over the next year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I've covered most of the red triangles. So basically, I look forward to seeing the next quarter. We're 3 months behind on where we are now, so it'll be interesting to see how things look at the cabinet papers in September, really. But I just hope there aren't any more red triangles appearing, and it doesn't seem as though that will be the situation. But I hope there aren't anyway. Yes, Asim. Sorry. Yes, Michelle.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
On agenda page 26, you're referring to the former Botany Bay site that you're looking to develop and build on that. Is it going to be a similar model to Strawberry Meadows?
I don't have the specific details on the site, but I'm sure that the team around that, it's not one of our particular projects, but it is a site coming forward. So I can certainly get some more information from planning and provide that to the committee. Thank you. Okay. No,
I think the original project was a super duper project, wasn't it? I think it's been watered down quite considerably, really. But again, it's an area that needs refreshing, and hopefully we can get things cracking there, really. You know, but it's all that's basically all private money, isn't it? Really? Yeah. It's a question of the planning committee giving permission. That's going to be one of contention. Yes, Alison.
Just a quick question. The vacancy rate for the Chorley Town Centre with the empty units, are we giving some sort of incentive to pull more people in, or?
There is some work being done by the team in terms of refurbishing some of the market cabins. I know that they have got some formal offers on a couple of units coming forward. The town centre vacancy rate, we do have that, and that has come down a percent point. So it's going in the right direction. There is also the business support that is provided through the business support team, and there are grants available there. So there is a range of packages, and I think the new economic strategy that's also being developed when that comes forward, again, looking at the wider business support. You know, that's one of the key corporate strategy projects around that enterprise support within the borough and that COVID recovery. So At the moment, it is looking better. We can get some more detail around that as well, but there are some units coming forward. I think there was a pop-up shop in the old Clintons, and that proved quite popular, and again, they're coming back to sort of express their interest in kind of using that. So that was, again, something in terms of how we can use some of that empty space when it is empty as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions? All okay. Well, as I said before, things aren't looking too bad in the last quarter. We'll just look forward to the paper coming to the Cabinet in September, and hope there aren't many more red triangles. Okay. Thanks for your attendance this evening. Thanks for all the information. Thank you to everybody. I think that's it for this this performance panel. Thank you very much, and safe journey home. Thank you.